Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Raymond Yeung. Here are tonight's top stories. 2 British Supreme Court judges resigned from their part-time jobs in Hong Kong's highest court. New COVID cases continue to decline in Hong Kong. And Carrie Lam admits that the city is experiencing a brain drain. 2 British Supreme Court judges have resigned as non-permanent judges in Hong Kong's Court of Final Appeal. The move follows an intense debate in London, where the judges still serving in British courts should continue to sit part-time in the SAR's top court, following the introduction of the national security law. Johanna Chan reports.
Britain has dropped a bombshell. It's withdrawing 2 serving Supreme Court judges from Hong Kong's highest court. Supreme Court President Robert Reid and fellow Judge Patrick Hodge have resigned as non-permanent judges of the SAR's Court of Final Appeal, the CFA. In a statement, Reid noted that Supreme Court judges have sat on the CFA for many years after the handover in 1997. They had the support of the British government, but the introduction of the national security law created difficulties. Reid added that Hong Kong still commands international respect for its commitment to the rule of law. But, he said, British Supreme Court judges cannot continue to serve in the city without appearing to condone, in his words, an administration which has departed from values of political freedom and freedom of expression. The move was backed by British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss, Deputy Prime Minister Dominic Raab, and lawmakers.
Clearly, we couldn't allow the Hong Kong government to continue to use the credentials and credibility of UK judges and their counterparts in Canada, Australia and New Zealand, although that's obviously an issue that those counterparts would have to look at themselves, but to use this as a smokescreen to hide their attacks on the rule of law, on democracy and on basic human rights. And so today I'm delighted that the government has stood on the side of the oppressed and not with the oppressor and withdrawn our judges from Hong Kong.
With Reid and Hodge resigning, Hong Kong's highest court has 10 overseas non-permanent judges. They include 6 who have already retired from British courts and are not affected by the UK Supreme Court decision. Johanna Chan, HKIBC.
The Law Society has accused 2 British judges who resigned of betraying Hong Kong's citizens and its legal community. Law Society Chairman Chan Chak-ming said criticisms of the city's legal system are entirely groundless. He urged Robert Reid and Patrick Hodge to withdraw their resignations and continue to contribute to the city. Secretary for Justice Teresa Chang also debunked statements questioning the impartiality and independence of designated judges, saying they are free to decide a case without any interference. She urged those who question Hong Kong's judicial independence to attend court hearings and see for themselves. The number of new COVID cases in Hong Kong has continued to decline, dropping below 7,000 for the first time in more than a month. The city added 6,981 infections today, marking the 5th straight day that the caseload is in 4 digits. Another 135 deaths were reported, taking the tally in the 5th wave to 7,493. Hospital Authority Chief Manager Sarah Ho said the deaths included a 41-year-old man with a history of drug abuse. The man tested positive 2 weeks ago, but was only admitted to hospital on Monday after suffering from false aneurysm. His death will be further investigated by experts. Chief Executive Carrie Lam has admitted that pandemic measures triggered a brain drain in the business sector, but she said Hong Kong remains an attractive financial hub. Johanna Chan reports.
Chief Executive Carrie Lam has confirmed what many have been saying for weeks, that there is a brain drain from Hong Kong. She said many employers told her they were losing staff, while the student population in international schools is dropping. Members of the International Business Committee, who held a virtual meeting with Lam yesterday, welcomed the relaxation of social distancing measures, including the lifting of flight bans next month. But some are calling for more, such as allowing home quarantine. This request was ruled out for the time being to prevent imported cases from spreading. The authorities, however, pledged to balance the fight against COVID with maintaining the city's status as an international financial hub.
We'll continue to make sure that the comments that made by the sector, including the emphasis on connectivity, including the mainland and the rest of the world, the comments made regarding the schooling and also other aspects of the people's lives will be taken care of as we chart the way forward.
Lam said Hong Kong has a competitive edge as a financial hub because of its links with the mainland. She added that Hong Kong's appeal should be judged by the rise in the number of people attracted to its talent scheme and growing enrollment of mainland and overseas students at tertiary institutions. Johanna Chan, HKIBC.
There's been a sharp rise in the number of COVID infections in Shanghai, prompting the authorities to shut down some western parts of the financial hub earlier than scheduled. There were a record 5,600 asymptomatic cases in the city yesterday, while infections with symptoms more than tripled Monday's total of 100. A second round of mass testing took place in eastern Shanghai's Pudong area, which is in the third day of a lockdown. The western part of China's biggest city is scheduled to be shut down on Friday, but residents in some districts said they have already been told to stay home. Other parts of the mainland reported 1,500 cases yesterday, with 75% of them in Jilin province. Overseas, Russia has continued to shell the Ukrainian city of Chernihiv, despite a promise by Moscow during peace talks to scale back its operations. Ukraine says the negotiations in Turkey hold promise, but insists that Moscow cannot be trusted. Winner Yeung reports.
Civilians of Donetsk, Ukraine's fifth largest city, woke up to find their homes in tatters. A massive airstrike overnight destroyed this apartment building. I was sitting on a couch and bang, the window glass popped, the frames came off, said this woman. The Russian Defense Ministry said it had been aiming for 2 ammunition depots after shifting its focus to the eastern region. There were similar scenes further west close to Brovary, a city near the capital Kyiv. But this Ukrainian soldier said he noticed the Russian forces were less active. This follows Moscow's announcement that it would scale back military operations around Kyiv. In his daily video address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said there were positive signals from the ongoing negotiations with Russia. But he added that proof of Russian sincerity is needed. Moscow's negotiators in Turkey said the Russian troops would reduce attacks in Chernihiv. However, residents in the northern city say nothing has changed. Governor Vyacheslav Chaus claimed that airstrikes continued all night long and dismissed Russia's pledge to ease off its offensive towards Chernihiv and Kyiv. Winner Wang, HKIBC.
A Palestinian gunman has shot and killed 5 people in a suburb of the Israeli city of Tel Aviv. There were chaotic scenes in Bnei Brak following the attack. Police said the gunman from the occupied West Bank had been armed with an assault rifle and opened fire randomly before he was killed by officers. It was the third such deadly attack in a week and came ahead of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Just before Ramadan last year, clashes at Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem escalated into all-out violence, with Israel bombarding the Gaza Strip. More than 260 Palestinians were killed, while 13 people died in Israel. After more than 100 years of trying, the United States has finally made lynching a federal hate crime.
Racial hate isn't an old problem. It's a persistent problem. A persistent problem. Hate never goes away. It only hides. It hides under the rocks. Given just a little bit of oxygen, it comes roaring back out, screaming.
Biden signed into law a bill named after Emmett Till, a black teenager whose lynching in Mississippi in 1955 spurred the civil rights movement in its fight for racial justice. The president noted that up to 1950, almost 4,500 blacks were murdered by lynch mobs just because of the color of their skin. Racial acts of violence still occur in the U.S., acknowledged Vice President Kamala Harris, adding that those responsible should be held accountable.
To state unequivocally.
The Hang Seng Index gained 1.4% to close at a 4-week high, boosted by hopes of peace in Ukraine. It was a case of roses and thorns for Country Garden, which climbed 6.3%. The mainland developer recorded a 13% year-on-year rise in revenue for 2021, reaching 523 billion yuan. But net profit fell by a quarter to 27 billion yuan. Banking giant HKIBC gained nearly 1%. After the market closed, it reported that net profit for last year rose 10% to 348 billion yuan. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng ended the day up by 304 points. To the top 10 active stocks, Tencent picked up $3.40, JD.com down 40 cents, while Alibaba was up 40 cents. The Tracker Fund was up 28 cents, while BYD Company was up $7.80. To the forex trading against the Hong Kong dollar, the euro's at 8.71, pound sterling at 10.30, while the Australian dollar at 5.88. Over in Europe, the London FTSE is currently up by 3 points. Dozens of companies have suspended plans to list on mainland stock exchanges because of COVID. The firms had aimed to raise a total of 60 billion yuan, but the virus delayed procedures, including due diligence. In the past week, 15 companies withdrew their applications for initial public offerings on Shanghai's tech-heavy stock market. In Shenzhen, 67 IPO hopefuls decided to put their bids on hold. On to the weather now. Sunny periods tomorrow, becoming misty at night. Temperatures will range between 21 and 27 degrees. A cold front will arrive on Friday morning, and it will be rainy on Saturday. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Wednesday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Raymond Yeung. Thanks for watching. Good night.